Alright, today we're going to learn to paint this abstract style I call Dazzling Drips. Where does acrylic paint come from? Alright, let's run through the colors.
Primary yellow, Indian yellow, Quin orange, pearly red, Van Dyke brown, ultramarine blue, Mars black, titanium white.
Alright, today we're going to work in a style with dripping, so we'll see how it turns out. For this painting, we've kind of added that first layer down. It's really light in the middle. That's really nice. It's still pretty wet in the middle, so when we go on top of this, it's going to blend. We got this little light dark. It's a little darker than the first painting, but we're going to kind of change those colors up and see where it goes from here. We've kind of added in this initial layer here and here. I don't like how this is blending so much. I think it needs a little more subtler blend. I'm going to bring back in some more reds to kind of tone this out, get a more interesting layering effect. As well as up here, I'm going to bring in the yellow, kind of tone that down so you get a nice red-orange layer. And we'll see where it goes for the next layer. We kind of brushed in that, got a lot of nice different features here. What we're going to do is add in a lot of black and reds and kind of make the drip factor, kind of pull that back and forth between the two layers. We just finished up kind of this drip layer. I want to kind of cut this back a little bit. I'm going to do kind of a burnt red, kind of almost a purple here to kind of pull this in to make it solid dark, and then bring in a lighter yellow here, and then we'll see how that ends. So the question was about acrylic paint. So it was invented in 1934, so a relatively new paint. Obviously oils dominated since the 1500s. And acrylic's obviously from an epoxy kind of resin, and at first they kind of use it for industrial uses, later got into house paints, and later by the 60s it kind of became popularly adopted by artists like Andy Warhol, Rauschenstein, all the kind of pop artists started adapting this paint. It's fast to dry, easy to work with, and it's also very durable. It's also used as house paints are kind of a lot of similar used by acrylics and are very durable on the outside if you use acrylic. And then later they developed all the derivatives like Aquatex in the 60s. So it's kind of the history of acrylic paint, and it hasn't really been accepted completely by the art world, at least the collectors. A lot of collectors think you have to have oil, it's more valuable than acrylic. And the only reason for that is because oils are older than acrylics, not really have to do with the paint quality. But you know, it takes a while to get over the bias. There's also the same bias you can see with graffiti art. Obviously that is also not accepted, and digital art is even accepted even less. So as paints come out and the times change, it takes a while for the public and the art collectors to catch up with the artists experimenting with new materials. And that's the question of the day. All right, we just finished the painting. Let's take a closer look. So we got kind of this nice burgundy that we added. Got to tone down and pull together more of those colors from the red, the gray, to the bright red and orange, as well as kind of this translucent white yellow kind of go on top to tone down that middle layer, and the same at the bottom with going into the black. This one has a really nice defined border with the really dark regions at the corners, which is kind of nice, gives it kind of that really impactful feel to the painting. which I kind of wanted. It was, you know, some of the paintings I thought, well, maybe I should redo it, but this one's really nice. Here you have kind of a pattern of the drips. Some of them are blurred in the middle and some aren't, so that's kind of a nice feel that you have that transitions where kind of the drips come through and they go through, but then they're kind of wiped out a little bit. So it has kind of that nice combination of drips to kind of brushwork. I like it. Before I was reluctant to kind of start this drip style. I did it before years ago and it just kind of didn't turn out right. It was just change the painting 50 times over and I got really frustrated, I think. It was cool, but it just seemed like a really inefficient way to do an abstract painting. But this I kind of like it. I could do it pretty fast and it still turned out pretty well. So I might do a series on this drip style. Hopefully you guys like it. Give me a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, you can subscribe below. And if you want to see my full version of the painting, check out my Patreon account. And I'll see you in the next painting video. Thanks, guys.